TG Geeks, episode 216, April 8th, 2019. Movies, and opera. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, and we're exhausted.
Oh, yes. And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you exhausted. And once you listen to this episode, I think you'll know why.
Understand why. Let's get on with the show.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, we have in this episode Phoenix Film Festival. We got 3.5 days of coverage. We have our birthday shout-outs, a featured podcast of the week as always, everyone's favorite feedback, Arizona Opera, the season finale, and Out at the Opera that we're going to talk about, as well as our follow-up weekly recap. Did I say weekly recap? I don't know.
You said follow-up.
And then
but not weekly, yeah.
Then the follow-up item.
Blah!
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, we're that tired, people.
Wow, yeah. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about. A lot of stuff to talk about. We have had an action-packed, full, crazy weekend already, starting Thursday night.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, you know, I never expected that actually being able to go back to work would be considered restful.
Exactly. I have to go back to work to recover from this weekend.
Yeah.
All the stuff we've done. So let's get on with this part of the show.
Meanwhile, in the
Not
Hall of
that. Well, Phoenix Film Festival 2019.
Got underway on Thursday night.
One of the 303 films that they have programmed for this 11 days at the Phoenix Film Festival was Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile.
Now, need to point out, that's not a descriptive term. That is a title.
That's the title of the movie, and it's the title of the movie starring Zac Efron. And wow, what a film.
This was intense.
It was intense. It was the opening film. They was Thursday night. They have a special event for a Phoenix Film Festival that is a separately ticketed event. They have a little cocktail party and tasting and all kinds of other stuff in their tent going on. And then they kind of adjourn to the Cine Capri Theater up at Harkins 101 in Scottsdale, and we saw this Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. The director was there, and this film is the Ted Bundy story,
right?
And wow,
and I was
it's
a bit
amazing.
Yeah, amazed. Purely on the acting of Zac Efron.
Well, and horrified at the same time.
And horrified too. Horrified because of the story. There's nothing horrific in what we see in terms of if people are thinking, oh,
no, it's not a
violent film.
Yeah, it's not gory or violent. It
touches on it very, very delicately, but it's mostly about the people whose lives are affected by Ted.
Yeah.
And also the police, who are desperately trying to mount a case against him, and this is where Zac Efron comes in as he plays Bundy, trying to get out of all of it.
Wow, he played this part. Who knows what was going through that man's mind? But Zac Efron really was able to channel that charm, and then the desperation and the manipulative portion of Ted Bundy. I mean, you saw him in different, parts of his life. I mean, this stretched over 10 years or so.
It starts
10, 11, 12 years.
It
of his
started
life.
in good grief,
86 and
oh God, no! I think it started even earlier than that. I think
Yeah.
it started in the 70s.
Oh yeah. But it just, to see him play this part, and it's a very dramatic role, and to see him do all of these things, I was really impressed in his acting chops. Normally, when you think of Zac Efron, you unfortunately think of this teen heartthrob and the rah rah blah blah blah.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
Baywatch
he had
type
done
of-
some. He had done some very young adult angsty type movies, which not exactly in our wheelhouse. And he's done a lot of pop, fluff stuff. So to see him something in like this was just unreal. And I think, and everybody's talking about how this movie could very well redefine Zac Efron's acting future. I think people are going to be taking a serious look at him and say, this guy,
Yeah.
we need to think about more dramatic roles or just something that's more mature, because the man, he can carry the weight. And the thing that's really interesting about this movie is the way it does portray Ted. The thing that was really unusual about Ted Bundy is that he's not your stereotypical psychopathic killer.
Yeah, exactly. When you think of a psychopath that killed, many, many people, you think that it's going to be an introverted person that's not, socially outgoing or anything like that. And Ted Bundy was anything but that.
Oh, no, the man was, loved by everybody because he was so charming.
Yeah. And he charmed so many women that somebody literally married him while he was in prison. It was just incredible. And they got a couple of other big names to be in the film, and that did very good parts.
We had John Malkovich played the final judge that presided over Ted's last case, if you want to call it that.
The trial, that put him away. And it was an incredible film all the way around. And then the filmmaker did a Q&A after the showing of the film, and he has been mostly known for his documentaries, and his documentaries about, kind of not social justice per se, but surrounding true crime and the victims, and that's what he tried to make this film, is from the victim's perspective, and to really go for that. Not idolizing Ted Bundy, but showing how he manipulated
how
people.
he was able to kind of worm his way through people and through the system,
and how he charmed the women that he killed.
I mean, to give legitimacy to what Zach did at the end of the movie, and I really applaud them for doing this. They actually showed real interview footage during the closing credits with Ted Bundy.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, Zach literally channeled the spirit of Ted Bundy when he played out that particular scene for the film. It was chillingly well done.
Yeah, and then after that, we kind of came back home, and you did a quick review of that, and we posted that, and that's one of the things that we tried to do, is to daily blog everything that we've seen. The next day, Friday, we actually didn't get started till late in the afternoon, or early mid-afternoon, and we saw 4 different films. We saw The Wrong Todd, which, what the heck is that? It's about a person that exchanges parallel universes with himself.
Yeah, it's a speculative fiction.
It was a lot of fun.
It's a lighthearted look at it's not a hard sci-fi film. It's just this lighthearted look about somebody who swaps places with his alternate universe doppelganger.
Yeah.
And it's really quirky. I did not know what quite to expect, although the title, or not the title, but the synopsis should have kind of spelled it out, because it's, first he stole his girlfriend, then he ruined his life,
Right.
And it's like, okay,
What the heck does
with a
that
synopsis like that kind of says it all. And what I really loved about this film is that it was so offbeat.
Yes. It was just, it kind of left you saying, what? In several different places.
Yeah, but all the right ways, too.
Exactly, yeah. and just the sheer comedy of some of the elements of how the sci-fi and time travel elements were like, oh my.
Yeah,
where did you come up with that?
Yeah,
it was just so off the wall.
Yeah,
and
that's why I say
outlandish.
This is not a hard sci-fi film. It's meant to be, your tongue is supposed to be firmly planted into the side of your cheek. But
exactly.
I think what it's more about
the slot
is,
machine.
oh, jeez. I think it's more of a study of the human mind, about what a person will do. The premise is a fascinating one in terms of what motivated this other Todd to, jump universes. I mean, it's a really interesting look.
It does kind of have a morality play.
There is a morality to it.
Yeah.
So I think the elements that, the building blocks for the film were very good, but what ultimately sells it were the performances of these people.
And I think this is slated to be released later. I don't recall.
I haven't.
I can't remember. I thought maybe it was, but I don't know. We'll
I don't
see.
remember it being.
If you have an opportunity to see it, if they get a deal, it's called The Wrong Todd.
Oh, it's so much fun.
It's a lot of fun. And then we had the opportunity to see a film that I initially was like,
we were leery.
Oh, I don't know.
We were reluctant because this is a film that doesn't, as we're fond of saying, is not in our wheelhouse.
Yeah, but we met the filmmaker, and on Thursday night, just happened to be in the same line, got to chatting him up.
We kept bumping into him.
Yeah, and so it was really kind of neat. This was Inner City Rats, and it's not, he termed it, this is not a movie.
This is an album.
This is an album. So each vignette was a separate
like
track,
a song,
if you will, and each one kind of handed off to the next one from a character that was previously in one of the.
It starts off that way.
Yeah,
and
so
it's all set in one of the boroughs of New York. I want to say the Bronx.
Oh, who knows?
But it's hard to tell. I wasn't entirely sure. But yeah, it's the unifying aspect of it is New York City, and
petty thieves, and
and it gets worse. I mean, you start off with a petty thief, and then you get to like these insane drug guys that are simply out to make a score, and finally ends up with organ harvesting, illegal organ harvesting. I mean, it gets really dark.
And then there's the bonus track.
Then there's a bonus track which has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, and it's just kind of out there. It's just a non sequitur,
Yeah.
But it was really great. Sam Garcia Southern is the director. He started writing this film when he was in high school, and he was 19 when he made the film, and it just really is an interesting look at the lives of ne'er-do-wells in New York City area, and what that can mean, and what your existence is all about for that level of society, shall we say?
Yeah.
And it was really well shot. I thought it was interesting.
Well, considering how old he is.
Yeah, exactly. And this was his first film, so it was really.
Yeah. It was an amazing piece of work.
Yeah. And then we had the opportunity to see a film by a man that we had seen a short for previously, and this was The Hole in the Ground, and it's from the director Lee Cronin from Ireland. We had seen back a couple of years ago at Horrible Imaginings his short film The Ghost Train, and what a terrifying short film that was. Oh, my Lord. And this one actually opens
In the same setting.
In the same set at
Yeah.
the ghost train at the carnival that the ghost train took in, and obviously it's in the same universe and the same place, shall we say?
Yeah, it seemed like a bit of world building.
Yeah. So tell them about the hole in the ground.
Well, it's as Keith said, it's set in Ireland. There's this single mom with her son, and you get the feeling she's just separated from her husband, her ex-husband, the boy's father. Things weren't very good. So I guess they're doing this fixer-upper of this old cottage that's way in the woods of in Ireland, and the mother and the son they love each other very much, but there's apparently some strange folklore about this crazy old lady who killed her own son. I mean, now she's just completely bonkers. And what ends up happening, well, they find the mother finds this really weird hole that looks like it's
a sinkhole.
It's a sinkhole, and it's very disturbing to look at, deep in the woods. And then at one point, her son appears to vanish, and she immediately runs over to the hole to think if maybe he fell in there. And then all of a sudden, oh no, he's not there. He's right behind her. Okay, yeah. All is well, all is well. They go home, and as time goes on, she begins to realize, I don't think that's my son.
Yep.
Now,
without giving anything else away.
Yeah, without giving anything else away.
Yeah.
What I would say is that this movie scared me.
Yeah.
In all the right ways. I have always said that
it wasn't just because there was a spider in it.
No, there were several spiders, and they kind of creeped me out. But no, I've always said that if a movie can really if a horror film can make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, then they have won. And this movie did it several times. It was downright terrifying for me as I watched it. I mean, it was, and that's the kind of movie I wanted to see. And it did, and as I wrote in my little mini review that we published, this movie did everything that Jordan Peele's Us should have been. This was the movie that Jordan Peele's Us should have been. The beats were perfectly measured out in terms of the horror, and the reveals were just enough to make you think, okay, there's something very otherworldly going on here, but they never fully explained what it was. And with a horror, I don't think you want to.
Right.
Because
some of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay to give some of it, but don't give all of it. Don't explain everything, because that's the nature of horror. It's not fully understanding what's going on. It's that irrationality.
But don't just leave it.
No, just don't leave it. Absolutely. Yeah. I know. I felt that Cronin, who wrote and directed this movie, I think he was able to resolve it in just the right ways. And the way that he bookshelved this movie, I mean, as Keith pointed, as you pointed out, it starts off in the very same setting as the Ghost Train.
Who?
It starts off exactly where the Ghost Train took place, but then it goes a little further and it starts in a hall of mirrors.
Right.
And then where does the movie end up? In a house of mirrors.
Yep.
Deliberately. And there's a reason. It all makes perfect sense. I mean, it's very thematic. I thought the movie was outstanding. I really, really loved it. And apparently it's been out for a while.
Yeah. Apparently it was in theaters overseas and made it to the U.S. So if you have an opportunity to see The Hole in the Ground by Lee Cronin, please do it.
Not everybody seems to like this one, but boy, it certainly rang my bell.
Yeah, and then the last film that we saw on Friday was The Assassinaut. And
oh boy.
It
defies description, doesn't it?
It does. Why is it
What
called,
did we watch?
Why is it called The Assassinaut? And then
well,
there was lots of things.
I kind of got the feeling, looking at Assassinauts, okay, it looks like it's a science fiction. It probably has to do with an astronaut who's also an assassin.
Yeah, that's
kind of where I was going with it.
That's what you thought.
But it wasn't any of that.
Yeah, it was about kids going to space and being the future.
They're being the future of humanity, because Earth, humanity's outgrowing Earth. We need to go someplace else. And also there's been a war with another species from another planet. So, I mean, that's kind of okay, but then they add this MacGuffin really early on, in fact.
Yeah.
And then, without really explaining what it is, then finally they reintroduce the MacGuffin towards the last 10 minutes of the movie, explaining what the MacGuffin is and its importance.
Or not even explaining, just saying what it was.
Well, that's true. Well, they say, this is it. This is what it is. And it's like, okay, where the heck did that come from?
And then all of a sudden,
no payoff. The movie just stops.
Yeah. So it was, up until that, it was a reasonably well
sci-fi horror.
I mean, it's a well-made film. The kids actors are absolutely incredible.
They are, but the movie did something else too.
Yeah, there was some horror aspects.
It crossed some lines. In fact, I have a line that I personally don't like to see crossed in any of my movies that I'm watching, and this one crossed it twice.
Yeah.
And
so,
I mean, actually, technically you could say 3 times, but there were 2 of them in particular that I just had, no, you've lost me as an audience member. But the final ending of the film was just not there.
Yeah. So it was really kind of a letdown.
Serious letdown.
Although the film was beautifully shot.
It's well
it was great
done.
and well acted, and some of the CGI effects that they did were great, but it just kind of stopped, and then there was the story aspect of it. So it was a good film, but had some issues.
It's a well-made movie purely from a technical standpoint, but it's not something that I would rush out to go see or even, desire to own myself.
Right. And so then, that was it for Friday. We missed out on Saturday because we had, several other things that were, more pressing. Well, not more pressing, but
we have prior commitments
too.
And we will discuss those in the second segment. And then on Sunday, we have not had the opportunity to go and have any interaction at the film festival just because it was... Well, we were dog tired.
Oh, yeah. After last night, yes.
I mean, we were really, really dead dog tired. We tried, but we failed miserably because we're old.
Yep. So we just kind of bagged on Sunday, and we'll continue up.
But we got more coming up next weekend.
Yeah.
Hey guys, my name's Gigi Edgley. I play Tiana on Farscape, and I'm the host of Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge. And you're listening to the amazing, awesome, brilliant, perfect, wonderful Two Gay Geeks. Mwah!
Gigi always, that's such a wonderful little thing.
It's
she
love
did
to hear
us.
from her.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hopefully we're going to get to chat
Hopefully,
with her again
that would be lovely. I would
later
really like
on
that.
this year. Yeah, especially since Farscape is on Amazon Prime now, and everybody can experience Farscape for themselves or re-experience it. And here's the birthdays, a few selected birthdays for April 8th through April 14th, 2019. April 8th, Robin Wright, Katie Sackhoff, Julian Lennon, Mary Pickford, and Betty Ford. I generally try to stay away from politicians and their families, but I put Betty Ford on.
Oh, no. She did something really good.
Yeah, because of the Betty Ford Clinic, and she cleaned up her life, and I mean, that it's one of those things when you think of the Betty Ford Clinic, you think of getting sober and people fixing their lives.
Cleaning up your life, exactly.
Yeah. So that's why I put Betty Ford on the list. April 9th, Dennis Quaid, Jackie Evancho. She was the young lady that sang on one of the talent things. I mean, she was like 8 or 10, and she sang this beautiful aria on one of the talent programs from the UK, and just made a big name for herself. So
okay.
That's why I put her on there. Also on April 9th, a filmmaker friend, Nicholas Hunt, and a friend of ours, Guy Watley, and Tracy Kluss, who we've known for a very
Quite a while.
long time. So happy birthday, everyone. April 10th, Haley Joel Osment.
Who is, by chance, he happens to be in that extremely
wicked, shockingly evil, and vile.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They need to change that title.
Yeah.
Really.
He's in that film. And also on April 10th, Daisy Ridley and Max von Sydow. April 11th, Chloe Bennett, Joel Grey, Oleg Cassini. I didn't realize that he was I knew that he made wonderful clothing, but I didn't realize he was a costumer in Hollywood. So, anyway.
I thought they named, the
Cassini? No.
The Cassini rings after him.
No. The Cassini space probe? No. It's a beautiful thing, but no.
Sorry.
Also on April 11th, Facebook friend Donald Scott Massey. April 12th, David Letterman, Tom Clancy, famed author and writer, and just, wow, lots of books. And Tiny Tim, who you
goodness.
have to
Laughing.
Be part of that era to understand Tiny Tim and his tiptoe through the tulips.
In falsetto, playing a ukulele.
And playing a ukulele with this long, curly hair and craziness. Yes, it was Tiny Tim. Also on April 12th, Ed O'Neill, David Cassidy, Montserrat Caballé, and Ann Miller.
Who's Ann Miller?
Leave this show. As well as opera friend and Facebook and opera friend Stephen Gertner. April 13th, Ron Perlman, Guy Fawkes.
Remember.
Yes. And Jonathan Brandis. I put him on here because he really was kind of in, what was it, Sequest?
DSV.
Sequest DSV. He played a great part and then just lost control of his life and unfortunately ended it way too soon.
It's way too tragic.
And also on April 13th, Bill Conti, sometimes referred to as Stickman.
Thank you, Julia Roberts.
Yes. And Peter Davison. Also who was Peter Davison was the Doctor.
The Doctor.
And then April 14th, Peter Capaldi.
The Doctor.
Who was the Doctor. And Christian Huygens, who was a famed mathematician and astronomer, and he did lots of work. And the one part of the Orion Nebula is named for the Huygens belt or something in the Orion. Also on April 14th, it trailed off there, Worthy Paul Meacham, a.k.a. Mama in L.A. Happy birthday, Mama. And a friend of mine from high school, Chris James. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Hi, this is Barbara Dillon, one of the co-hosts of Fanbase Press's flagship podcast, The Fanbase Weekly. During the Fanbase Weekly podcast, the co-hosts and I discuss the top geek news stories of the week. In each episode, we are joined by special guests from all across the pop culture spectrum to get their take on what's happening in geekdom. Past guests have included Jeffrey Thorne, writer of Leverage and The Librarians, DC All Access's Jason Inman, Debbie Lynn Smith of Chimera Press, Xena Warrior Princess executive producer Stephen L. Sears, Ashley V. Robinson of Geek History Lessons, and many, many more. Join us for an episode of the podcast that celebrates fandoms on a weekly basis. A new episode of the Fanbase Weekly is released every Monday. Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or look for the podcast at fanbasepress.com.
Go give a listen to our friends Barbara and Bryant over at Fanbase Weekly. And now it's time for a little bit of this. The droids dancing.
Yep. We've got a lot. So, starting off, this is in regards to Angry Birds 2 movie trailer from Sony Pictures Animation. Got a comment from Jason Hahn. He says, so funny, a few minutes after a new Coliseum event, someone has 325 points.
Whatever that means.
It's obviously a reference to the game.
I see.
I had to think about it, too. It kind of seems, I have no idea what he's talking about. And then I realized, he's talking about the game. And then he's, also we then got a comment from the Angry Birds 2 Gamers fan page, and they just simply said awesome. So, I gave them a shout out.
Yeah.
And then we had an article. It was for the new Aladdin trailer from Disney. Got a comment from Hamish Downey on Instagram. He says, it looks the same, only worse.
Apparently you didn't like
Aladdin,
huh?
And then this is in regards to my breakdown of the Netflix series The Order. Got a comment from Michael Hickerson, and he says, I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm wondering if I'll continue. I feel like The Magicians, at least what I've seen of it, does a better job with the whole magical college vibe. And since both shows can curse, that doesn't really set this one apart. Knowing that it all ends on a low note doesn't encourage me to keep going, especially with so much other shows vying for my attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I would put it better than The Magicians, personally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there was something about The Magicians.
Oh, it was the behavior of the magician. Well, there was 2 things. One, it was the behavior of in the Magicians that we hated.
And then it was horribly mixed.
We couldn't hear well, we weren't really watching shows with subtitles at that time.
Yeah.
We may want to give another stab at that, and because we keep subtitles on all the time now.
Yeah,
because
we're old.
Again, we're old.
And an interesting thing, just shortly after all of this, Netflix renewed the order for season 2.
They gave season 2.
I don't know how they can do that. I just don't. I don't understand.
Unless they completely tell a totally new story.
And that's true. That's true.
So, moving on, in regards to TG Geeks episode 211, got a comment from Corey Nelson, my old friend Corey, and this is talking about
Corey.
Spider-Man and the Spider-Universe. She said, my 2 sons and I watched Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. It was outstanding, but not in the way it was expected. Normally, one would be expecting a compelling storyline with good actors, suspense, satisfying end. We did not get some of that. The storyline was marginal at best, loosely put together to enable the story to exist. This plot was nothing more than a device to introduce the different Spider-Man. The boss villain hardly came up, but the moving was fantastic. The visuals drew the viewer in at every scene. Animation was so top-notch, one forgot about the drawing immediately. Immersion into the movie's universe was complete. The cast of characters could not have been funny. I'm just simply reading exactly how she wrote this.
The cast of
voices could not have been funner, identified one famous person from another. That's how she wrote it. When we walked away, the boys and I couldn't stop gushing about what a memorable experience we had. It will stick with us. Go experience Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. We raved about it.
Loved it.
It's a great film.
Just loved it.
There's a really good story.
Yes, it was so much fun. And then regarding Aaron's Arcade of Words review for the sequels, issue number 1, Circuit Borders, got a comment from Fanbase Press. They're the ones who are publishing this, and they gave this to us on Instagram. Thank you for such a wonderful review. Thank you for your support of Fanbase Press and the sequels. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Moving on to TG Geeks episode 213, and this is where we interviewed John De Los Santos and Clint Borzoni. And he says, always so much fun chatting with Ben and Keith. Thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah, and for those that haven't listened to that episode, that Clint and John are the composer and librettist for the opera Copper Queen that was commissioned by Arizona Opera.
Mm-hmm.
Coming soon.
And then moving on, we ran a press release for the second Malaga Festival Fund and co-production event, how it selects Patricia Chica's Montreal Girls as a movie that she's getting ready to make. Got a comment from Tom Alred Gulbranson. Hey, nice to hear from you again, Tom. He says, congratulations, Patricia Chica.
Yay.
Then he got a comment from Patricia, and she's addressing this to us and to Tom. I love you too. Thank you so much for your support.
Yay.
Got a comment from Cap Lucky on Instagram about this, and he said, I love this post. Yay. Then moving on, and this is in regards to my review, my gay breakdown of a movie called Arizona Sky. and got a comment from Jeff London. He says, "Great breakdown, Ben. I sincerely thank you." And who is Jeff London?
Who?
He's the writer of the movie.
Oh, cool.
And that is our feedback for today.
That was a lot of fun. If you want to leave us a comment or feedback on any episode, on any article, or anything that we do, you can do that, and there's a number of places you can do it. We post everything to Facebook. All of our articles automatically post to Facebook, and then we reshare them, and they have links there. You can comment on the Facebook page. You can comment on our Twitter, any of our Twitter profiles. We post everything to Twitter as well. You can comment on Instagram and MySpace, and you can even comment on our website at tggeeks.com on any article, on any of our articles that we post or episodes. You can leave a comment, and we'll talk about that on air. You can also leave us a voicemail, and we'll play that on air in a future episode. And you can do that by calling 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And if you comment or you call us and leave us a voicemail, always remember, please play nice.
Hi, this is Joe Spector from Arizona Opera, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
So, now we're going to talk about what we did on Saturday, April 6th. This was the final opera of the season for Arizona Opera.
Yep.
And
it also happened to coincide with
Arizona Pride.
Or Phoenix Pride.
Phoenix Pride. So they decided to have a pre-opera party.
Yeah.
Pride at the Opera. What do they call it?
Out at the
Opera. That was it.
And it was it was mostly for the gay community, but a gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender, questioning, LMNOP community. Anybody that bought a ticket actually could attend Out at the Opera, but it was primarily themed around the LGBTQ community. There was a nice little spread of appetizers and cheese and crackers and stuff like that, and as well as
lots of wine,
beverages, and
lots of wine.
A picture, a photo booth.
It's sort of a photo booth.
Yeah, they have those little photo opportunities with props and things kind of like what we did at the Epic Pictures party, where you do all the kind of stuff, and then they take several photographs and then they send them to you, and that was kind of a neat little thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of fun. We got to see a bunch of people that we know, and we got to see some new people and talk to some new people.
And apparently there were a lot of, once again, newcomers.
Yeah.
And I think that was sort of the point.
Yeah. To introduce people to opera, and that Sam Lowry, who is the assistant associate director of
marketing?
No.
Not marketing, not development either.
Development.
Is it
yes.
development?
Associate director of development for Arizona Opera, made a couple of announcements, and one of those was that this is part of their outreach to bring new people to opera, to reach out to communities and bring them into opera, such as the student nights that they have, and the outreach to the LGBTQ community, and the outreach to this group of people and young people. They have the Arizona Bold is if you're under 40, you can buy season tickets practically, or 4 operas for $100.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually they're the more expensive seats, but they've made a special block of tickets for the Arizona Bold members, and they're really great seats, because normally the cheap seats in the back are the $25 tickets,
right?
But these are actually good seats for those Arizona Bold ticket holders, and so they reach out to the community and bring new people in. with the Red series, the McDougall Red series, the first 2 operas of the season that are held at the Herberger Theater, and they're a little bit more intimate settings for smaller operas, shall we say, and that don't require such a big orchestra and don't require a big space to perform in. And then there's a regular main stage series that they do for the rest of the season. So it's part of the outreach out at the opera, and this was their second annual, and we were there for last year, and they plan to continue to do that at one of the operas during this season. So I'm kind of glad about that. So I had a good time.
I had a very nice time with that. And so let's talk about the opera itself. And it was the Marriage of Figaro. Which
Figaro got married?
Yeah, Figaro got married. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that crafty barber from Seville.
Yeah. I did a review of this piece, and of course my crazy synopsis that I do for operas, and the Marriage of Figaro was written first as an opera. But it was actually the second story. The second story, Barbara of Seville, was written as the play was written first, but it was the second opera being written. Actually, Figaro was 1786, and Barbara of Seville was 1816 by Rossini. And the interesting thing is that in Rossini's piece, the Count Almaviva, who is the main person, is a tenor in Barbara of Seville, and after the Marriage of Figaro, he has successfully wooed Rosina and married her, and now is a baritone in the Marriage of Figaro, and has been married for quite a few years and Figaro has become his chief of staff. And I say, the Count has been married to Rosina, the Countess, for a number of years, and is bored with his life and his wife. So he has to spice it up. So it's his antics and the plotting and the scheming and the everything, and hilarity ensues.
And it is a very funny story.
It's just a hilarious story. It's craziness. And some of Mozart's most recognizable music.
Oh, yes.
I say the overture, which actually was incorrectly ascribed to Rachmaninoff in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in the 1971 film, when he plays that as the password, and Mike TV's mom says Rachmaninoff. No, that's not right. Anyway, the overture, there's a couple of arias, in this piece that are very recognizable, as well as some of the ensemble music. And if you've seen Amadeus, you've heard virtually
a lot of it.
All of Figaro
at some
in little
point,
snippets.
Yeah, in little bits
not all of
there.
it,
no,
but just snippets of virtually
it's all
everything.
dissected.
Yeah,
but there are many elements to Marriage of Figaro that are immediately recognizable if you know Amadeus. But let's talk about this performance.
This performance, oh my Lord! I say this every time, but the orchestra could not be better. They are absolutely wonderful. Mm-hmm. I said that they are the best regional opera orchestra around.
I would agree with that.
And Dean Williamson was able to coax out enough of the things in the orchestration to bring that whole piece to life.
And there were moments during I can't tell you exactly when I caught these things, but there were nuances that I never heard before.
Right.
And I caught them last night or Saturday night, and was just completely like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then we had the production, the staging.
Oh,
the
yes.
Sets. Oh my gosh. This was like over the top. It was
very clever.
Yeah. And it was so over the top because the story is so over the top in its comedy. So you had to have something that was lavish or lavish looking and kind of craziness.
But practical.
Yes, but practical for the set piece. And it was great. And then, what's next?
Well, the voices?
Oh my God. This probably was one of the finest productions
I would have to agree with that.
we have seen at Arizona Opera.
Yeah, there were two that were just complete standouts. Now, the singer who played Almaviva, I mean, he's professional and they hired him from out, but the soprano who sang Susanna,
she is one of the Marion
one of the
Pullen
students.
Studio artists, and she is a student. Well, I mean, she's sung for a while, but she is in the studio artist program, and her name, oh, shoot. I was looking over here. Oh, where'd it go? Katie.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, shoot. Where is she? I've got her in here.
Yeah, he's looking at the article right now.
Yeah.
He's looking at his review.
Katie Jordan.
There you go, Katie
Gosh,
Jordan.
how could I forget? She was truly a songbird.
Yes,
Just a songbird.
that is the perfect title for her, and it was like listening to the most beautiful sounding canary or mockingbird, just singing away these beautiful melodies, and she is going to be a coloratura to be reckoned with.
Yes.
She was just a delight.
Yep. And the Count was sung by Zachary Nelson. He was from out off the street, shall we say. Hired off the street. He was not one of the studio artists.
No, he
Put
wasn't.
it that way.
There were two people
Yes.
that were not studio artists, and he was one of them.
Yeah, and this was the Saturday night production, and the Saturday production usually gets the studio artists as in some of the lead roles, and all except for the Count and the Countess were all studio artists
Right.
in the production. Katie Van Kooten sang Rosina, the Countess. Oh my Lord, it just brought tears to my eyes. Her voice was such power and such majesty and such oh wow, it just the two arias the two big arias that the Countess
I know you were
sings.
very much looking forward to those.
Yes, it was incredible. And of course, then all of the other studio artists, they have great voices. They sounded good. They were just, it was,
They blended well.
they blended well, and the opera ends, and literally I had a tear in my eye for the very end of the opera, because you hear the Count reaffirming his love for Rosina.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment.
And then the Countess sings, and they have this back and forth for a moment, and then all of a sudden the chorus comes in.
The entire
Everybody else,
cast.
the rest of the cast comes in, and they have this tender moment, and then all of a sudden they sing happy ending.
Happy ending.
Yeah, I think so. Some of people have called it Mozart's perfect opera.
I can understand why, and it was
Yeah.
very funny.
And I titled my article, it says, Arizona Opera Season Finale, The Marriage of Figaro, Perfectly Marries Sight and Sound.
Oh, that's very, very good title.
Yeah,
And it's hard to imagine that the season is already over.
I know. My gosh, it seems like just yesterday we were seeing Maria de Buenos Aires.
Well, it seems like we were getting ready. I mean, we were pimping the season, and we were talking to Joe Spector and being all excited about what this new season was going to be, and now it's over.
I know. It's amazing. Can't look forward.
Can't look forward
Can't
enough.
look forward enough. There we
next
go. I
year.
saved that.
Yeah.
Can't look forward to next season. Whoops.
But I will look backward.
I can't wait for next
I
season.
know. I'm
It's
so
gonna be
excited about
really,
next
really
year.
Great. And we'll hopefully over the summer, we'll get to talk to Joe and several other people from the opera and talk about the next year's season, as well as this season that just ended. So stay tuned for more on the opera front.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counselors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
If you are in transition or have already transitioned and are in crisis, or you know of someone in crisis, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by specially trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to the translifeline.org for more information about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. Wow, we had another busy week. And
Oh, my
Ben's going to
word.
recap what we published this week.
Yeah, get comfortable, people. This is worthy of an episode all on itself. Starting with Sunday, March 31st, we had issue number 42 of Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician. Then we had a press release on STX Films presents The Best of Enemies. That will be in theaters on April 5th. Then, on April Fool's Day, TG Geeks episode 215. And we also had, Keith wrote this wonderful, wonderful tribute to celebrating the cinematic genius of Alan Smithy.
Alan Smithy. Wonderful.
This is a must-read. He directed my favorite movie called Dune.
Yep.
Read this article. And then we had another press release for WonderCon trailer. This was, I think, Roe reported on this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
WonderCon ran a trailer release for Fear the Walking Dead. And then we also ran a trailer for The Dead Don't Die. This one looks very funny. I'm looking forward to it. Also, at WonderCon, Disney announces the new Marvel Rising specials. That was all on Monday, April 1st. Moving to Tuesday, April 2nd, there was my breakdown of the ABC murders. This is the Agatha Christie, Hercule Poirot mysteries that are on Amazon Prime. Then press release on Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood trailer. Very interesting. I can't wait to see that. And then, special trailer for Avengers Endgame. That just, literally, it popped right out there and we jumped on it and ran a press release on that. And then another press release, Michael McKeever's Daniel's Husband to premiere at the Fountain Theater. Then on Wednesday, April 3rd, this came from Hamish Downey, 5 Questions with Jeff Junker. And then 11 Arts Anime to release Penguin Highway nationwide on April 12th. And then a press release for it's for the new Joker movie. The article is, This Joker is No Joke. See the new trailer for yourself. But it's for the new Joker film starring Joaquin Phoenix. Then on Thursday, April 4th, the Phoenix Film Festival 2019. Oh, yeah, we're tired, people. Phoenix Film Festival 2019 begins April 5th. There's a little press release on that. Then there's another breakdown that I wrote for a Netflix series called Love, Death, and Robots. Wow, that's something. Then Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, trailer and featurette article on that. STX Films releases a trailer for My Spy. And then on Friday, April 5th.
Looks crazy.
Yeah, it does look crazy. And then Friday, New Sushi, issue number 57, Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond. That, again, is from Hamish Downey. And then my breakdown of Phoenix Film Festival 2019 opening night. That's where we go into more detail about everything that went on, including about that Ted Bundy movie starring Zac Efron. And then, press release on the documentary Kickstarter, Goddess, The Fall and Rise of Showgirls. This is a documentary on the movie Showgirls, and there's a Kickstarter to get that documentary going. Check that out. And then lastly, for Saturday, April 6th, another 5 questions from Hamish Downey. This is 5 questions with Andy von Skoyak. I hope I pronounced that right. Andrea Richoff gave a little article on the Arizona Renaissance Festival, how it's fun for the entire family. And then lastly, my breakdown of the Phoenix Film Festival 2019 Day 2. I accidentally wrote Day 1 because I'm a dope, but it's really
right.
Day 2.
Day 2. It was full
Day 1.
Day 1, yeah. You can find all these things at tggeeks.com, as well as stories, the entries on our Facebook page, as well as Twitter, and you can leave comments there. As always, we have our follow-up items. We're huge supporters of independent creators, especially filmmakers, like we've talked about on earlier in this episode.
And we hope to be talking to in the near future.
Comic book artists, writers, and others. Please buy their stuff, watch their films, just talk about their stuff, and please support independent creators. The Joshua Tree Feeding Program. The goal of Joshua Tree Feeding Program is to provide nourishment to low-income HIV-positive residents of Maricopa County. They have a food pantry that lets you go in. It's like a grocery store, and the client gets to choose what they want instead of just being given a food box.
And should be pointed out that they understand that a lot of their clients also have pets.
Absolutely, and
they make that
pet food
yes.
and whatnot. So, and over-the-counter medications, they have somebody that comes in and makes sure that everything is acceptable for each individual client and that it's not out of date. Toiletries. Please support Joshua Tree either through a donation of items or through a donation of money, cash. You can do that on an individual basis or on a recurring monthly gift, which is wonderful for them. They can actually do a budget then. Go to jtfp.org.
Special shout out to the Human Arkle. That is Brian Weber. You've heard plenty of him from many episodes. He's a wonderful guy, and he puts out the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News. You can find that by going to Twitter and searching at Arkle. Should point out that the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News republishes much of our content from time to time. He also has a presence on YouTube. He has a show called The Shameless Cash Grab. To find it, all you have to do is go to youtube.com/user/Arkle Studios, or just go to YouTube and look up Arkle Studios, all one word. And we have to give a shout out to a couple of groups, Facebook groups, for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours and their little side page, Gamers After Hours. Big thanks to the moderators for literally saying share away. And their URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our stuff on their page. Their URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek. And we must give special thanks to Jeremiah Rees for giving us his blessing in sharing our content there.
Yes, thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as other places fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out for a replay on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. Listen to the rest of their content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Up next time, who knows? We're going to have something interesting for you, and we'll just stay tuned. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Cheers.